Every summer top 100. Every summer top 100. He's got a voice that's really the bomb. He'll make a choice that'll aggravate Tom. I hate to spoil it, but when all's said and done, Merchant of Venus gonna be number one. Every summer top 100. Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to the top 100. Numbers 20 through 11. Enjoy.
Number 20.
Splendor.
Number 20 was not on the list last time, and that is Splendor, which is a fantastic introduction to engine-building games. This was one of my favorites of the last year or so. You have a bunch of chips, and you're trying to collect these chips to acquire these cards. And as you get these cards, many of them, not only are they worth points, but they will generate another of that particular color of chip. So you have this sort of snowball effect as you collect the cards, trying to save up for the big cards, and it's simply a race to 15 points. You can also race to get these personages as like special guests in your empire, and the other players are also going for those particular people. They're worth 3 points apiece. It moves very quickly. I love how easy it is to introduce to new players. It is a lovely, streamlined design, and a terrific number 20. Splendor.
Hey, it's number 19.
Terra Mystica.
Hard to believe that I'm empty-handed this high up on the list, but Terra Mystica is a game that I play with my regular group, and they own the copy. I haven't felt the need to purchase one myself, but I love this game. There are tons of these races in the game, and each one has a tendency to play slightly differently, and exploring all of that is phenomenally fun. In Terra Mystica, you are messing with like this mana system. You got 3 cauldrons of mana, and you are moving things around in there, and eventually, once you've sort of cycled enough mana around, you can trigger special abilities. That is tricky to make happen. But that's just one element of the whole thing. You're also trying to get a bunch of your houses and cities and temples onto the board to earn points, create resources, generate an engine. I love all of that, trying to make all of this work. And each of these races is going to work slightly differently. And figuring out how to get your race to do what you want to do is a terrific puzzle. I'm not terribly good at Terra Mystica yet, but I'm getting there, and I'm enjoying every play of it. Terra Mystica, my number 19.
Hey, if we're gonna announce this, we're gonna do it my way. You say 18.
Pathfinder Adventure Card Game.
Number 18 was not on the list last time either, but it has certainly occupied a tremendous amount of my attention, and that is the Pathfinder Adventure Card Game. This is an amazing system. It's an RPG in a box. That's all using these cards and some dice to go on adventures. You've got different chapters that you can delve into. You add cards to the system. There's a bunch of different piles of armor and weapons and bad guys and big bad guys and barriers and just everything that you could possibly imagine, all in these different categories. And you will discover these categories as you go from location to location. Each adventure, you're trying to track down the big bad for that particular scenario while knocking out their henchmen and acquiring cool stuff. It is a deck-building game in slow motion. Because at the end of an adventure, you may gain only 1 or 2 cards. Your particular character deck is also your hit points, as well as all of your weapons and armor and items and all that stuff. And the system in which these items get added and removed from the game as you progress fascinates me. Now, I only have Rise of the Rune Lords. That is the original set. I don't need more than that yet. I'm still working my way through this. There's a tremendous amount of gameplay in here, but it is a game that I have enjoyed playing solo with 2 characters and also adding my son into the game. He's been enjoying it as well. Pathfinder Adventure Card Game, whether you want to start with Rise of the Rune Lords or pick up one of the more recent sets, is a fascinating experience. I love it, and it's my number 18.
17?
Hey, come back here. Roll for the Galaxy.
Number 17 is also new. I told you there was a lot of turnover this time. This is Roll for the Galaxy. What? The dice version is higher up on the list than the regular version? Yeah, it is. This is a fantastic game. This takes the Race for the Galaxy concept and turns it into a dice game that moves very quickly, is easier to explain to new players than all of the iconography. There's plenty of iconography here as well, but what I really like about this game, you're acquiring dice. You have dice to start. You'll have a particular race, a particular starting scenario, starting tableau that gives you some special dice just to start the game. But you are then acquiring more dice into your empire and cycling these dice through your cup, buying them after you've used them, and trying to draft more planets into your empire and earn victory points by delivering goods. What I really like about this is that it has choices. I mean, yes, you're rolling dice. There is that luck of the roll aspect, but there are a lot of things you can do with that luck of the roll. You can allocate dice in different ways to trigger different abilities. No matter what happens, you're going to get to do at least one action of the thing you want to do, because you can simply place a die on that thing. If I really want to explore, I can do that, but if I haven't rolled the symbols, I'm not going to get as strong an action, but I can still do that thing. I find it fascinating. It is a really neat game and a splendid re-implementation of the Race for the Galaxy concept that still feels like blank for the galaxy, but has that streamlined nature that has me really excited. Roll for the Galaxy is a great game, and my number 17.
Huh. 16. Oh, 16.
Marvel Lemon Cherry.
Lemon Cherry? My number 16 is Legendary. Marvel Legendary, that is. The co-op game about superheroes. You are drafting various heroes into your team and trying to take out some sort of big bad. There are lots of expansions for this that provide tons of different gameplay scenarios. Someone did the math, Tom did the math at one point, figuring out how many possible big bads and teams of heroes and villain groups you could possibly have in this game. It's a lot. I tend to play this straight cooperative. There is a competitive aspect where you can earn points and someone wins at the end, but I tend to play this straight co-op. I love the superhero art. I like the teaming up, the trying to get combos into your deck. There are these symbols that if you get several of the same symbol, you can sort of combo them together and trigger extra abilities that are on the cards. So as you're looking at cards that you want to draft, purchase, put into your deck, you can be like, no, don't touch that one. I really want that symbol. And then whether your teammates / opponents do that or not is, well, up to them. I really enjoy this one, and it's one that I'm looking forward to introducing to my kids. I think we're pretty close to where my son would enjoy the superhero Legendary. My number 16.
15!
Mysterium.
Number 15, another new edition, is Mysterium. This is, of course, the Polish edition, Tamanish do Mostu, and I know I screwed that up. This is the Portal Games edition of the game. I have not picked up the new Asmodee edition's version that's in English, but I love this concept. You've got a ghost who is trying to communicate information to the other teammates. This is a full cooperative game. And the way that this is done is through dreams. You've got these fantastical cards that you're given out to the different players, and based on that card with the fantastical art, you're trying to get across a particular weapon, or a particular location, or a particular suspect that you want that player to zero in on. Of course, the ghost can't talk, and so you have to just communicate with these cards. And finding that connection with different groups of people, especially if you're not really familiar with them, is the fascinating aspect of Mysterium. How do you get across a oxygen tank using the cards that you have in your hand? and it's tricky. It's very difficult. And you can certainly adjust the difficulty level as you become more familiar with your teammates, add more people. This plays to a very large group. I really enjoy this game quite a bit. And Mysterium, whether you get the Portal Games edition and just work with the translation, or the brand new Asmodee edition, is a terrific addition to your collection. And my number 15, Mysterium.
14.
Indonesia.
Number 14 is the highest ranking Splotter title on the list, and that is Indonesia. Some people don't really like the board on this one, but I think it looks like a map, for one thing, like one that you know, if you were navigating around Indonesia. I think that works. It's a little sparse, but I think it works for this game. You are a farmer or a shipping magnate, and you are producing spice, rice, even combining those two companies to become a Siap Faji company, which is like TV dinners. You know, the rice and the spice go together. Yeah. You're combining these companies to make them bigger, more lucrative. It's a deep economic game, but one that I particularly enjoy. You're delivering these goods to cities that need them, and if a city gets whatever it needs of every good on the board, it grows, and it needs more stuff on the next turn. It's a lot of fun. It's tough. It's a thinky game, as many of the Splotter games are, but I think this is my favorite of them, and one worth checking out. My number 14, Indonesia.
Lucky number 13.
Attica.
Number 13 has slipped slightly, but not all that much. Attica has always been a favorite of mine. The object of the game is twofold. You can do one or the other. You've got a map, and you've got oracles placed around the map. And if you connect any two of those oracles with your buildings, you win. But that's sort of the alternate version of winning, the one that the other players at the table need to protect from happening. The way you really win is by getting all of your buildings out on the board. And each of these buildings has different prerequisites as far as resources. Some of those resources can be found on the board, and it's sort of these hexagonal map tiles that you set up at the beginning of the game. You can even expand that map and discover more resources out there. Or you can collect cards that will allow you to put these buildings on the board. The more efficient way, however, is to start with one of the smaller buildings, and then there's sort of this pathway you can follow on your mat that will let you bring out additional buildings for free as long as you build adjacent to the first one on the path. Can you do that? Can you even get those buildings onto your mat to be put on the board in the order that you want? It's a neat puzzle. And of course other players are going to be blocking you off at the same time, so it's a nice multiplayer puzzle. I really enjoy Attica. It's a blast to play, and one that has a good arc to it, a nice flow as you're filling up all the things on your mat. But if you spend all your time to fill up your mat to get those nice cascades with the free buildings, other players are going to steal all the resources on the board. You don't want that. Nice tension. Lots of tension in Attica. My number 13.
12.
Pandemic the Cure.
Number 12 is another new addition to the list, and that is Pandemic the Cure. It's the dice version of Pandemic. In fact, some people, not me, but some people consider this to be a stronger game than the original full board game, Pandemic. But this is also fantastic. This takes everything and abstracts it into a dice system. Each character, each role in the game has its set of custom dice with symbols that sort of play to the strengths of that role. So the medic will have more symbols saying they can treat diseases, whereas the dispatcher is going to have a helicopter that they can use to transport other players around the board. It's got a pressure luck aspect to it because you will roll your dice, and as long as you haven't spent all of your dice or gotten the nasty biohazard symbol, you can keep rolling them. I didn't get the symbol I wanted, I gotta keep going. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. The diseases are represented by dice as well. They're sort of a non-standard distribution D6. So the yellow disease, for example, is going to cluster in certain areas of the board. You also want to avoid outbreaks, just like in the board game version. what I really like about this is that it's quick to pick up for new players, just as fast, if not faster, than original Pandemic. It is quicker to set up than original Pandemic. It's slightly more portable with only the one box. We'll get to that later. It's a terrific game, and one that's been a big hit with just about everybody I've introduced it to. A stellar reimagining of the Pandemic concept. Pandemic the Cure, my number 12.
11.
Through the Ages.
And number 11. Through the Ages. Now this is a game that doesn't hit the table very often. It's a civilization building game, but it has a tremendous amount of depth and is tricky to get your mind around. There's actually 3 levels of play, and this is one of those that it's recommended that you work your way with the basic game and then try the mid-level game and then work your way to the full game. But the full game is where this really shines, as you're working through 3 ages and building up military, or at least enough to ward off your opponents, working with resources. The resource management in this game is terrific, because you start out, just getting regular little single ore, but then you can buy more ore and upgrade your ability to produce more of that ore. It's really neat. A lot of things to juggle in Through the Ages, though. This is not a game for everybody. This is certainly on the absolute heavy end of what I enjoy playing. But worth checking out. In fact, there is a new re-implementation of this coming at Essen this year. I'm interested to see what they do, maybe filing off some of the rough edges, but as it is, this is a fantastic game. If you like civilization building, walk Through the Ages. My number 11.
Thank you for watching. I've enjoyed it so far. Have you? Stay tuned for next time when we'll finish it off.
Every summer top 100. He's got a voice that's really the bomb. He'll make a choice that'll aggravate Tom. I hate to spoil it, but when all's said and done, Merchant of Venus gonna be number 1. Every summer top 100.